Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Our main thing now is just to test our sails and do a final check of all the shackles and fittings and so on, and just make sure that everything's tight and nothing's going to come loose while we're sailing.
Just 6 days out from Boxing Day, Bridget Canham and Kathy Veal are on board their yacht Currawong, carrying out vital pre-race checks.
So this is something that we hope we don't have to use. It's a storm jib, so it's a bulletproof sail.
Kathy and Bridget are experienced sailors and have competed in the Sydney to Hobart many times. But last year they became the first all-female crew to compete in the newly created two-hander section.
We didn't know whether we could sail the boat two-handed, we didn't know whether we could get the boat ready. We just said we're going to do it, and that really got the process going.
The Two Birds to Hobart team spent 5 days at sea, 3 days longer than last year's winner.
In short-handing sailing, you do every bit of the boat's function. It's sort of a psychological and physical game, but you learn what your body can take. Doesn't look that old.
To be honest, last year the adrenaline was so high, I didn't really sleep properly for 2 days.
When they made it to Hobart just before midnight on New Year's Eve, any tiredness on board was washed away by the reception they received.
There was a sense of unreality about it. It felt to me like we just walked into this movie set.
The challenges of the voyage quickly forgotten. They signed up to do it all over again.
I'm certainly feeling considerably more relaxed and more together than I was at this stage last year.
Rob Fisher had 22 Sydney to Hobart races under his belt, but this is the first time entering the event with his wife Kerry, daughter Elizabeth and son Brandon.
The boat's special to us because we rebuilt her. We had her back in the 80s and early 90s, and then it was sad to see her go. And then when she was sitting in Sydney, run down, Dad decided to buy her back because we loved the boat.
They took part in the iconic race to honour Rob's father and Sydney to Hobart veteran Tony Fisher, who died last year aged 95.
Helsel, the yacht some said would never reach Hobart, has done better than that.
Tony won line honours with the original Helsel in 1973.
Completely different to every other concrete boat that's ever been built. However, and I believe the only concrete boat to ever win an ocean race. And he did in record time.
2023 marked the 50th anniversary of Tony's win, the family taking his ashes along for one last Sydney to Hobart. Also racing this year was Bob Williams on board the Sylph 6, the oldest and one of the heaviest boats in the fleet, and the only one with a pet on board, Ollie the cat.
He's an experienced sailor. He's spent several years on the boat now. He's been to New Zealand and back, so I think he's got his sea legs.
What's often described as the most gruelling long ocean race in the world again lived up to its reputation. Blue skies and smooth sailing 1 minute, wet, wild and windy the next. Currawong's crew had trouble with their new rigging early on. With dark clouds on the horizon, Kathy and Bridget decided it wasn't safe to continue. Those who pressed on faced brutal conditions. The Fisher family found themselves in the midst of a powerful storm.
We were surrounded by a lightning show that I've never ever witnessed. We had lightning 360 degrees and just constant.
Winds of up to 50 knots battered Helsel 3 as the yacht rounded the Tasman Peninsula. Despite being so close to the end, they made the heartbreaking decision to retire.
This was my 23rd Hobart, and this was the third one that I haven't finished. Very, very frustrating.
After 7 days at sea, Sylph 6 was the last to finish the race, but there was no shortage of fans to welcome the crew.
Finishing a Sydney to Hobart for the first time, even if you come last, it doesn't matter. It's an awesome feeling.
You're quite emotional.
I am just a bit. I don't know why. I think it's about the cat, actually.
Ollie became the first cat to compete in a Sydney to Hobart race since 1947.
Me and the cat were just a couple of ordinary people. You're saying pretty, an older boat that potentially is within the realms of most people's imagination. They can imagine themselves doing that. And the cat, I think, brings that the whole thing down to earth a little bit.